Welcome, DFS fans, to my channel. We're going to be going over Week 1. NFL is finally here. A little bit of cash game plays. Start with the quarterbacks. Carson Wentz, easily the most mispriced QB on the slate at 5,700. And my favorite, which is my cover boy here for Week 1. Wentz averages 23.6 points per game when facing the Redskins, which at this price, he's due to crush this value. Cash game lock for me. Next guy up, let's go to Jameis Winston. Where is he? Jameis Winston. And again, it should be a shootout. My only concern is price tag at 6,600. His highest price last season was 6,300, so I don't know why he's priced up so much. In order to get value, he has to really sling the rock, which might not be too difficult against the 49ers defense. They're ranked almost dead last in passer rating, allowed and gave up 10th most fantasy points to quarterbacks. Moving on to the next guy, Lamar Jackson. Let's find him here. Lamar Jackson, Dolphins gave up second most yards rushing, fourth most total yards last year. So for a guy who likes to run, someone they want to throw more, it's probably a perfect scenario for him in Week 1. 6,000 seems a bit steep for someone who doesn't throw much, but if he runs for over 100 yards, gets the rushing bonus and possibly a touchdown, or rushing touchdown is that, you should be dancing with this guy. The last QB on my list, we're going to move down here, Matthew Stafford. No one's really talking about him. Ownership's going to be spread out this week due to the soft pricing for Week 1. At 5,400, he's going to be really low owned, really affordable. Facing a Cardinals defense that's missing their top two corners in Peterson and Alfred. Stafford's basically playing against guys from the parking lot, which I wouldn't really call this a cash safe play, but he can allow you to afford other people placing your lineups. Let's move on to running backs here. I'll start off with Chris Carson. The Seahawks are heavy favorites, and the Bengals defense was second worst in yards per carry and gave it the second most fantasy points per game to running backs. They've come out and said they want to get run heavy. This guy's pretty much a cash game lock for me. Dalvin Cook is going to be my next guy. He's finally healthy. Murray's gone, so no more sharing carries. Diggs has an injury that may be hampering him. Atlanta's given up the most receptions by a running back the last 4 years in a row. I don't think you need more convincing to play him, but let me hit you with some more stats. Kubiak's offense has been top 5 in rushing 9 out of the past 12 years. When they weren't in the top 5, they're still in the top 12. Oh, and he's only 6,000. So cash game lock for me right here. Next guy, we're going to move on down a little bit here. Mark Ingram. Miami could have one of the worst offenses this season, which translates to more carry opportunities. As I mentioned with Lamar Jackson, Dolphins gave up the second most rushing yards. The Ravens are favorites here, and I expect Ingram to get a lot of carries. Ingram leads all backs in yards per carry for the last 5 seasons, and at 5,100, he doesn't need much to crush value. Next guy up, we're going to scroll a little bit up here. Leonard Fournette. While there's not many bell cow running backs left in the NFL, Fournette is one of these guys. He seems to be healthy. Coach saying they're going to use him more in the passing game, which is great for PPR, which is Draftkings format. In week 3 of the preseason, he played 18 of 19 snaps, and he was one of only 2 players Foles targeted. We'll get to that other guy later. But for now, let me mention that the Chiefs ranked last in yards per carry and surrendering the 3rd most fantasy points per game to running backs. He was never priced as low as he is at 6,100 last year, so I'd say take advantage of the savings. Let's go to Nick Chubb here. At 6,400, he's the most expensive back on my list, yet he's still underpriced. The Browns' bell cow runner, with Hunt suspended, should see the bulk of the work, and he led the league in yards after contact. With Cleveland being favorites here, I see them getting up and letting Chubb take them the rest of the way. Let's Let's move on down to tight end before we go to wide receivers. Let's go to Hunter Henry. Dirt cheap at 3,900. He faces the Colts, which gave up the second most fantasy points to the tight end position last year. And, oh yeah, he has a quarterback that likes throwing to his tight end. Win-win situation for me here. No brain cash game lock. Move up a little bit. Let's go to OJ Howard. Winston loves to target his tight ends. In a game that should have plenty of offense featured here. I like his chances. 5,000 is not really what I want to pay up for a tight end normally, but I can certainly see the appeal here. Next guy, Zach Ertz. Ertz scored less than 10 points in only 4 times last season out of 19 weeks, and it kind of helps that my favorite quarterbacks is Wentz this week. What doesn't help is his price tag at 6,100. But if you can fit him, he's pretty consistent for that position. Let's move on to wide receivers. We'll start here with Mike Evans. Actually, we'll do a double. We'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. As I'm recording this, Evans seems to be sick. He's got the Q tag here. So we'll see how that goes by the time Sunday rolls around. But both of these guys are in a smash spot, covered by low-tier corners. Sherman does not shadow anybody, so he'll stay on one side of the field. This game looks to be a shootout. Either one should be cash game safe, maybe even both. So that's Evans, the other guy. If you guys are new to DFS, don't know the names, this is the other guy I was talking about. Chris Evans and, Chris Godwin. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Let's move on to Tyler Lockett here. This guy normally wouldn't be mentioned in cash, but seriously, who's left to throw in Seattle? Go ahead. I'll wait. Actually, I need to finish this video. But I can see him getting a bigger role now that Baldwin's retired, and a bunch of Walmart cashiers at the other wide receiver spots. And their rookie wide receiver, Metcalf, is questionable. Lockett has been very good with limited targets, but he's gotten a large amount lately, being the only guy there, basically. So this should work out great for him. Next guy up. Scroll down a bit here. I should have gone in order. Too late. Dede Westbrook. Remember when I mentioned week 3 of the preseason with Fournette? Westbrook is the other guy that received all the targets Fournette didn't get. Obviously, his rapport with Foles and the Chiefs' defense doesn't seem much improved from last year. They should be able to connect here plenty. At 4,800, cash game lock for me. Move down a little bit more. Curtis Samuel. I wasn't really sure if I should add him to the list, but I think he's going to be chalky. I really don't see why. He's facing Talib and Peters. He sure is a deep ball threat, though, and the Rams gave up the most fantasy points per target to wide receiver on deep throws. I'd say it's a bit risky here for cash, but he is very affordable at 4,200 and should be very chalky. Let's see, my next guy should be somewhere around this area. Marvin Jones. Actually, let's do another 2 birds with 1 stone. Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay both have favorable matchups with Peterson out. But Jones being way underpriced at 4,800 kind of leaves Golladay at 6,300. Let me find him here. This leaves Golladay at 6,300 out of the cash spectrum. But you can really bet on Golladay for GPPs, your tournament plays. Next guy up, Tyler Boyd. He should get a big bulk of the looks. This whole game doesn't look very favorable towards the Bengals. Maybe some garbage time will make Boyd not look so bad, but there's plenty of other options around his price tag of 5,100 in better spots. But if you like this guy, I don't see why not. Next man up, Adam Thielen. Diggs is nursing an injury, so I don't think he'll be 100%. I can see Thielen taking full advantage of this, Just keep an eye out before the game on Sunday, see if Diggs is still Q-tagged. Either way, Thielen is a target monster, and Cousins loves to throw to the slot. Next man up, let's go Jarvis Landry. Landry is very consistent, so playing him in cash should be fine. He won't break your team. I think he's underpriced here at 5,600. I don't know how healthy Beckham is with that hip, so if he's still banged up and Landry has to carry the squad, this should be great. This should be very safe for your cash play here. Next dude up, I want to do two guys again here, and they're right next to each other. Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods. Cooks is more of a deep threat. Carolina gave up the most fantasy points per game on deep passes. Woods plays outside, but he also does a lot of slants and sometimes works the slot, making him very consistent in fantasy points. I was really high on these guys, but as I was recording this, Todd Gurley news came out that he's 100% ready to go. So we might have to just add this guy to the list. This bumps them down a bit because Gurley gets a lot of work. I don't know if this is smoke and mirrors trick from the coach or if Gurley is really ready to go beast mode. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Take a little peep at this for Sunday, probably 4 lock, just to make sure they don't bring anything up else against Gurley. But if he's ready to go, I don't see why you wouldn't use Gurley in cash. The dude's a monster. Finishing up the video, Ravens obviously against Dolphins. They are away, so that gives me a little bit of concern. Eagles against Washington, rebuilding. I don't really see Washington moving the ball much. I can definitely get aboard with an Eagles defense here. Another defense that I know is popular is going to be the Chargers against the Colts. And another one I like to throw in there would be the Seahawks defense against the Bengals. That's it, guys. If you enjoy the content, I'll be doing a video weekly. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.